Today, I'm going to be letting you in on a little known truth most men never figure out, and we are not wasting time, so let's get right to it. A woman's reaction to you losing interest says more about her than anything she told you while she was into you because attraction is fun to talk about when it is mutual, but the moment you start pulling back, the real psychology kicks in, and trust me, the results are not always pretty. We have been told for decades that women only want men who are consistent, attentive, and fully invested. But here is the controversial reality. The moment a woman feels like your interest is slipping, that same consistency she once claimed to love suddenly is not what she responds to anymore. Instead, you will see instinct, ego, and emotions take over, and the way she reacts will tell you exactly where you stood in her life. Some women panic, some become cold, and some suddenly treat you like you are the one chasing shadows. And this switch can be confusing, especially if you are the kind of man who believes relationships are all about steady effort. But when she feels you are no longer in her orbit, her reaction is pure psychology, part survival instinct, part pride, and part testing your value. And this video is not about guessing games or petty manipulation. It is about understanding the emotional patterns women rarely admit even to themselves. And if you have ever wondered why she suddenly texts more, goes distant, or becomes oddly unpredictable, the moment you stop making her your top priority, this is where you get the answers. And by the end, you will not just understand her reaction. You will know how to read it like a book and decide whether it is worth reinvesting or walking away for good. Now, let us talk about when she gets colder than ice overnight, because not every woman responds to your loss of interest by chasing you. Some go in the opposite direction, and they become cold, distant, and almost unrecognizable one day. She is friendly and playful, and the next, she is giving you short, flat replies or avoiding interaction altogether. And why does this happen often? It is a defense mechanism, because instead of trying to win your attention back, she shuts down to protect her pride. And if she senses you are pulling away, she might want to beat you to the punch, emotionally checking out before you can hurt her. And it is a way of saying, you cannot reject me because I have already rejected you. And this shift can be shocking, especially if you thought things were going well. But here is the thing. Coldness is usually about control, because by acting detached, she is trying to flip the emotional balance back in her favor. And if she can make you feel uncertain, she regains the power she feels she has lost. And the mistake many men make here is chasing harder and trying to fix her mood, which only makes you look desperate and confirms to her that she has you hooked. Instead, you have to stay composed and resist the urge to overcompensate. And let us say you have been going on dates and texting regularly, but you have recently been busy with work, so you reply less often. And suddenly she stops laughing at your jokes, avoids eye contact when you meet, and keeps her phone in her hand during conversations. And that is not just her being busy, that is her putting up an emotional wall because she feels your interest has dropped now too. She suddenly wants your attention again. And the moment a woman senses your interest is slipping, something strange often happens, because the same woman who was acting distant just last week suddenly starts looking for ways to get your attention again, and she might text you more, laugh at your jokes a little louder, or even find excuses to be around you. And it is not always because she suddenly realized how amazing you are. Often it is because your lack of interest triggers something deep in her psychology, because women are wired to notice changes in emotional energy. And when you were giving her all your attention, she could relax knowing you were there. But when that energy disappears, it creates uncertainty, and uncertainty can make someone crave what they might be losing. And it is not about love in that moment. It is about ego validation and the fear of no longer being desired. And this is where a lot of men make a mistake, because they think her sudden interest means she is back for good, when in reality, she might just be reacting to the loss of attention, not to you as a person. And once she feels she has your interest again, she could easily slip back into being distant. And imagine you have been texting a woman every day for weeks, and she starts replying less, giving one-word answers, and taking hours to respond. So you stop chasing, no more daily texts, and no more instant replies. And 3 days later, she suddenly sends you a "Hey, stranger" message, asks how you have been, and starts liking your social media posts. And that is not magic. That is the sudden realization that your attention is not guaranteed anymore. Now, 3, she starts flirting with other men, and when a woman realizes you have lost interest, one of the most common and controversial reactions is to start giving her attention to other men and making sure you notice it. And this is not always about genuine attraction to those men. Often it is about provoking a reaction from you. And it is a mix of ego and emotional strategy because if she feels your attention slipping, she may try to remind you that she is still desirable and that she still has options and flirting with others, whether it is in person over text or even on social media, becomes a way to signal you are not the only one who wants me. And while she might not admit it, the underlying goal is often to make you second guess, pulling away. And men who have experienced this know how easily it can mess with your head because you start wondering if she is moving on, if she is replacing you, or if you made a mistake by showing less interest. And this mental chaos is exactly what she is counting on. Because if she can get you to react emotionally, she knows she has regained some control over the dynamic. And this can be frustrating because you remember when her focus was solely on you, and seeing her give that energy to others feels like a shift in loyalty, even if nothing serious is happening. But here is the truth: her behavior is less about those other men and more about testing you. And she is watching to see, will you get jealous? Will you chase harder? Will you compete for her attention? And the ironic part is that for many women, this is a subconscious move, and she might not even think of it as a calculated tactic. It is just her natural reaction to feeling less wanted. And for men, the challenge is not letting it drag you into a game you never agreed to play. And if you understand this pattern, you will recognize it for what it is: not proof she has truly moved on, but a sign she is trying to shift the power back in her favor. Now, 4, she plays the victim card, and another powerful reaction you might see when a woman realizes you have lost interest is her slipping into the role of the victim, and suddenly she is acting like you have wronged her, as if you have abandoned her without reason. And she might bring up moments where she claims you changed, accuse you of not caring anymore, or subtly make you feel guilty for pulling back. And this is not always about genuine emotional hurt, because sometimes it is about shifting the responsibility back onto you. And if she can frame herself as the one who has been hurt, she can paint you as the bad guy and use that to pull you back into giving more attention. And it is a manipulation that works on a lot of men because many men hate the idea of being seen as heartless or uncaring. And here is where I have to be brutally honest with you, because too many men fall for this without questioning it. And you hear her words, you feel bad, and instantly you start explaining yourself, apologizing, and overcompensating. And that is how you get trapped back into giving more than you should not, because the situation improved, but because you did not want to look like the villain in her story. And you need to wake up to the fact that not every emotional display is pure and uncalculated, because sometimes it is a strategy. And if you always rush in to save the day, just because she plays the victim, you are setting yourself up to be emotionally controlled. And the advice here is simple: do not make decisions based solely on guilt, and look at the overall pattern of her behavior. Because has she been distant, uninterested, or dismissive before this? And if so, the sudden victim act might just be a way to pull you back in without her having to actually change anything. So stay compassionate, but stay alert. Now, 5, she tests your patience on purpose. And when a woman senses you have lost interest, sometimes she will not chase you directly or act like a victim. Instead, she will push your buttons intentionally, and she might take longer to reply, cancel plans at the last minute, bring up things she knows will annoy you, or act unpredictably just to see how you will react and why, because she is measuring your breaking point and she wants to know if you will still stick around even when she is making things difficult. And it is a form of testing your emotional investment without having to ask you directly. And if you blow up or start begging for her attention, she knows you still care more than you are letting on. And the dangerous part for men is not realizing this is a test at all, because many guys just think she is being moody or stressed. But if these little irritations start happening right after you have pulled back, It is usually not random, it is calculated, and she is trying to find out whether your interest can be reignited or whether you are really slipping away for good. And here is the truth, because if you fail this test by reacting emotionally, she regains control of the situation, and you will find yourself explaining, apologizing, or making more effort to get things back to normal, even though she is the one who created the tension in the first place. And the smarter move is to stay calm and not get drawn into petty arguments or obvious bait, and keep your composure, because your reaction is exactly what she is watching for. And if she sees that her tactics do not rattle you, she will have to decide whether to step up her behavior or risk losing you entirely. And remember, relationships should not be constant trials, because if someone's main way of keeping your attention is by frustrating you on purpose, that is not connection, that is control. Now, 6, she pretends she does not care. And one of the most frustrating reactions you will see when a woman realizes you have lost interest is when she flips the script and starts acting like she could not care less about you, and she might become unusually quiet, stop initiating conversations, or act overly focused on her own life, almost like she is broadcasting, "You do not matter to me anymore." And on the surface, it might seem like she has genuinely moved on, but often this is a front, because it is a defensive shield designed to hide the fact that your withdrawal has actually affected her by pretending to be unbothered, and she is trying to reverse the emotional pressure back onto you. And if you think she is indifferent, you might start questioning yourself and asking, did I imagine the connection? Or was I wrong about her feelings? And this tactic works especially well on men who are not used to women pulling away first, because your pride kicks in, and you might feel the urge to prove she still cares. And that is exactly what she is hoping for, because she wants you to break your cool and come chasing to confirm her importance in your life. And the key thing to remember here is that emotional detachment is not always real, because sometimes it is just a performance. And if her "I do not care" attitude shows up only after she senses your interest fading, it is probably an act, and she is seeing if her withdrawal will trigger yours. And this is where self-control matters, because the more you respect your own boundaries and stay composed, the harder it becomes for her to maintain the act, and eventually her real feelings will surface. And that is when you will know whether she truly lost interest or was just trying to pull you back in without directly chasing. And do not get caught in the emotional ping pong game, because real connections are built on honesty, not pretending. Now, 7, she tries to pull you back in, and when all the other reactions do not seem to get the result she wants, some women will go straight for the big move, pulling you back in, and suddenly she is warmer, sweeter, and more affectionate, and she might reminisce about your best moments together, compliment you more, or even make promises about how things will be different this time. And on the surface, this feels great because it is the version of her you enjoyed in the beginning, and it is easy to believe she has had a genuine change of heart. But you need to be careful here, because this sudden burst of affection often is not about long-term change. It is about regaining the emotional security she felt before you pulled away, and this phase can be incredibly tempting for men because it feels like proof she still cares. But ask yourself, where was this energy before she sensed your interest fading? And if she is only stepping up now, it might not be about love. It might be about avoiding the discomfort of losing your attention. And here is the truth, because if you allow yourself to be pulled back in without any real changes in behavior or respect, you are setting yourself up for a repeat cycle, and the sweetness can fade as quickly as it appeared, and you will be right back where you started. And the best way to handle this is to stay grounded and enjoy the positive energy. But do not ignore the patterns that got you here, because lasting interest is proven over time, not just when someone feels they might lose you. And here is the hard truth most men do not want to admit, because sometimes when a woman reacts strongly to your loss of interest, it is not because she truly loves you. It is because she hates the idea of losing the control your attention gave her, and that is a bitter pill to swallow. But if you have been paying attention to the patterns we talked about, you have probably seen it before. And this is why I want you to think back to your own experiences and ask yourself, has a woman ever suddenly changed her behavior the moment you started pulling away, and did she get sweeter, colder, or even try to make you jealous? And share your story in the comments, because your experience might even help another man who is going through the exact same thing right now. And because the bottom line is that understanding her reaction is not just about decoding women, it is about protecting your own self-respect. And the more you recognize these patterns, the less likely you are to fall into emotional traps that keep you stuck. And next, we are going even deeper into female psychology and the things women hope you never figure out. And you will want to hear this one, and I will see you then.